Hello, welcome to GOOSE TV. I'm your host, Charlie Stivers, and I'm super excited about today's guest. You know how everyone's kind of freaked out about some of the aspects of AI or artificial intelligence, primarily being, job losses or change, which we're all kind of freaked out about in some ways. But my guest today has a different twist on that and a better perspective that I think we need to be embracing in this digital economy. The second point I want to make is, as I've had other AI guests in the past, it's hard to call them experts. Well, today we have a true expert with over 30 years experience in AI, and he got into the early days, and now he's kind of coined as the AI architect for business growth. He's a best-selling author, speaker, and Greg helps businesses achieve profitable growth through AI-driven web strategies. Welcome to the show, Greg Jameson.
Thanks, Charlie. This is going to be a lot of fun. Always enjoy talking to you, but always enjoy talking about AI also.
Yeah, and we've known each other, I think close to 10 years, and kind of just knew you as the web store guy. And, we've had some fun conversations, but, as you were telling me about some of these different tools and you're sending me links, you just had a recent book launch. I went down your rabbit hole and I'm like, oh my gosh, Greg, you're doing some really cool stuff. So I covered a lot of fun things that I think our audience is really going to enjoy today.
Yeah. And, we can probably start right off with what you were talking about there about people thinking that AI is here to replace them. It's going to take away their jobs. And, people had that same fear, I think, when the internet came out that, hey, that the internet is here. It's going to take away my job. When I first got into doing any kind of computer programming, one of my first applications actually was an AI application. It was doing some computer-aided design for landscape architects. And that was a big concern then too of, hey, you're creating these tools that are automating a whole bunch of the things that we've spent years learning how to do. We went to college for this. We have gone out there. We've created a whole lifetime's worth of skills of being able to do these draftings and actually even determining things like what's the best placement as it relates to landscape design. And you're automating all this. You're going to automate us out of a job. What actually ended up happening is that those tools made it possible for people to do things that they previously had not even considered doing. And the result was that rather than taking away jobs, it created more jobs. Now we have all kinds of people that are trained on computer-aided design. They're trained on how to do things on the internet, and people are beginning to learn things where they're being trained on how to use AI. And I really think that the exact same thing is going to happen. The big thing that we have to understand is that the jobs that AI is creating, they don't look anything like the jobs that they're replacing, which means that people need to get up to speed on AI and what new skills they need as a result of the fact that technology is continuing to change the world.
Yeah, I think that's really a inspiring perspective for a lot of people. And what do you think is like the urgency for people to start learning it and applying it, have that skill set that their employers may want, or even that they need for their own small business?
Yeah, the urgency is probably yesterday. The fact is that unlike CAD or unlike the internet, unlike most of the technologies that we've seen in the past, the growth rate of AI is just exponential compared to any of the previous technologies that we've seen. And even today, if you're walking into a new job, people are probably going to want to know what your skill set is, at least with being a prompt engineer on ChatGPT. If you don't have that very basic skill set right now, you're already behind. And where that's going to take you 6 months, 12 months from now, you really need to keep up on those technologies as best as you can.
Yeah, I'm taking notes, which, by the way, audience, I suggest you have a pen and paper ready, because I think we're going to get into some pretty cool tips and tricks, probably some links. And we're talking some high value information right here. So what are some of the practical ways that companies can use AI to increase their profitability rather than just automating tasks?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. I think that there's some things that, I've worked, as you said, you knew me as the web stores guy. I've worked with a lot of e-commerce sites over the past couple decades. And some of the things that are pretty obvious to start with are, well, what about product descriptions? There are so many websites out there that it absolutely blows me away that to this day, somebody will put a product up for sale, whether it be on their own website, on eBay, whatever, and they will have a picture of their product. They may even have 2 or 3 pictures of their product. And then their product description is, this is a widget. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Can you tell me a little bit about it? The products that tend to sell the best are the ones that actually have a fair amount of copy attached to the products. They have the details of the products. They have the specifications of the products. People want to know that stuff. It may not be stuff that they read on a regular basis. And so they are looking at the pictures, but especially a technical product, say you're buying a camera or a computer or whatever, you want to know what the specs of that are. You're not just going to look at it and say, oh, that's great that this is an Apple laptop computer. That's not enough information. And the reality is that really isn't enough information no matter what you're selling. If you're selling jewelry, as an example, I've got a client that's a jewelry store, and you just put out there that this is a set of abalone earrings. That doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you how big it is. Is it going to look decent on a person's head? Are they small? Are they large? Are they two-sided? What's the material that it's made out of? Are they hypoallergenic? Whatever the case may be. And so product descriptions are obviously one way that is a really good way to start utilizing AI right from the beginning, and it can help you make money. Another way that I think a lot of people are just beginning to utilize is their own chat bots on their website. And those chat bots can help with customer support. They can help with pre-sales questions. They can help with just about any type of question that the customer may have, as long as that chat bot has been trained on the material of the products that your customers, that your website offers. So if you are going out there and just putting up a generic chat bot, that's not going to do the trick. You want it to know, you want it to be content aware of what's on your website, and you want to have pre-trained it with materials from your company.
Yeah, I think chatbots are probably what everyone's most familiar with as far as AI goes. I remember those even during pandemic lockdowns and figuring that out. And now I think we're all used to like typing in questions or whatever the case may be, and then we ultimately all hit speak to an agent, speak to an agent. At least that's what I do.
That's because, when those chatbots first came out, because I was programming those too back in like 2015 and through about 2018 or whatever. All of those were basically predetermined questions. And it's a lot like when you would call up on a phone too, that it would be a set of predetermined questions, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, or say, speak to a representative, whatever. So it was like, okay, I know how to answer these particular questions, and that's what I'm good at. If it's anything other than that, I'm going to take you back to the main menu. And that was good. That was a learning step. But the chatbots that we're seeing programmed today are ones that really do interact with you as a human being, and you can ask it whatever question you want to. And if it doesn't know the answer, what you want it to be able to do is go back to your corporate documents that you've uploaded or to material that's on your website and figure out the answer so that it can provide something that is reasonably intelligent to your customer.
Yeah, and so you refer to yourself as a fractional AI officer, giving you a chance to shine here, but you prefer working with medium-sized businesses. Maybe we do have some business owners in our audience and some small business owners as well. So maybe, share with the audience what your role entails to help businesses become more profitable and implement some of these growth strategies. And, how does that differ with, the typical CTO or CIO?
Yeah, so there's companies vary of all sizes, obviously from solopreneurs up to Fortune 500 companies. The thing that I have found is that Fortune 500 companies tend to hire people in-house as they should. So they have that expertise in-house. Smaller companies tend to not necessarily have the resources to start implementing some of this stuff. Not that they shouldn't, but a solopreneur, for example, are they going to be hiring a chief AI officer? Probably not. A mid-sized company, they know that they need these services, but hiring somebody at $100,000, $200,000 a year may also not be in their budget, and it may be something that, hey, it makes more sense for us to pay someone like Greg to show us what some of these tools are and help us implement them. And then if they grow, then they can hire somebody in-house to do it. If they get what they need, maybe it is a small company that's half a dozen employees, they get what they need on a one-time project, then that's great too. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to what I call my AI toolbox. And like I said, some of these tools are available on the free AI Genius. So if you're interested in experimenting with some, feel free to go to that website. But there's two tools that I really want to show you today. One is when people go to a website, and this is a mistake I see people make still today, 20 years later on websites, is they like to talk about themselves. The purpose of a website is not to talk about yourself. The purpose of a website is to attract customers and to show them what you can do for them. So I'm just picked a random thing here. This guy happens to be a speaker. I have no idea who he is. So Eduardo, if you happen to see this video, don't get upset with me because you just happen to be somebody that is like everybody else that's out there. So on this page, it starts out saying, when I slow down, yada, yada, I am certain of a few things. I am the chef of the food brand Montana Mex. I have been fortunate enough, my adventures, I, me, we. The copy on a website should be about your customer. So one of the tools that I created is to convert all of this stuff that people normally put on their website. And I'm just going to copy that. And I am going to go to this tool called Customer-Centric Copy. And I am going to paste that into this thing that says current copy to modify. The name of your company or organization, well, let's just pick on his name. And we'll enter that in here. And about how long do we want to generate? Well, he put quite a bit in here, so let's just say we want 1,000 words. And we hit submit. What this tool will do is go through this copy and rewrite it so that it's now about the customer and how Eduardo here can help him. So you can see what it is generating here. Embark on a culinary adventure with Eduardo Garcia. You're not just a food lover, you're a seeker of extraordinary. You understand that every table tells a story. So we put this into a customer-centric point of view. And you can take that, you can now just grab all this copy here, whatever part of it you want, copy it out and put it into your website. And your website is probably going to read a whole lot better than it did before.
That fast.
Another tool along this same line here with web copy is to make AI text sound more human. One of the problems that if you use ChatGPT or almost any other AI generation tool out there is they tend to make things, the way that they word things sound like a robot. If you remember on Star Trek, The Next Generation, Data was always out there saying, I cannot do this. I do not. He couldn't use a contraction, which made him sound robotic, which was the purpose of the show. But the problem is that's really what we're living in today, is that a lot of the content that's generated by these things, they sound robotic. And one of the things I get 3 or 4 people a week asking to guest post on my blog. And I reject probably 2/3 of them because they all start out exactly like this one does. And I find this interesting. This is from Copysmith AI. So it's an AI generated tool that is doing this, and they put this on their own website. But so many of these blog posts that people want to guest post on my site start out in the ever evolving era of the digital landscape. And you're just like, okay, I know right where that came from. So you can take this content, which is also super long, which is something that ChatGPT and most other AI things tend to do. They repeat themselves quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just go ahead and copy that whole thing. And we're just going to paste that into the original AI generated article spot and hit submit. So same type of thing as what we saw with customer-centric copy. It now goes through and it rewrites this. But in this case, it rewrites it to make it sound a little bit more like a human being probably wrote it. Is it perfect? Probably not. It's still being generated by AI, but
still proofread
it. With anything that you generate with AI, you always want to edit things. In fact, one of the big things that you always want to do is not take the first answer that AI ever gives you. It's an iterative process. The whole idea is it's a chat bot. And when it comes up with things, you want to say, hey, now consider this, or let's add this into it. People talk about writing a book in an hour with AI. Well, can you do that? Yeah, realistically, it's probably more like a day if you're doing it right, because you want to have this conversation with it and have it say, hey, now we need to change this. Now we need to do this. So this reads a whole lot better than the original did. It certainly doesn't start out with in the ever evolving digital landscape, but you know, take this, copy it, and do some editing yourself. And I think that that'll get you a long ways. So those are just obviously a couple of the tools that are in this tool set. You'll notice that there's, I've got tools in here for email and lead magnets and blog posts and social media, all this stuff going on here. Some of them may be more useful than others, you know, like doing a comic book dialogue may not be something that everybody wants to do, but certainly things, you know, like doing a proposal writer, that may be something for that can be really helpful for a lot of people.
Some technical writing maybe too. And
yeah, and one other aspect that I want to just touch base on without feeling like I'm totally dominating the conversation here.
No, you're doing great.
Is what is called AIO. Some people call it AISO for AI search optimization. But one of the things that we want to be aware of in our businesses today is that so many people are utilizing AI as their search engine now, rather than going to the traditional search engines like Google. They will go to ChatGPT and they will type in something. Maybe it's like, hey, I live in Denver, Colorado, and I'm really looking for somebody that makes a great licorice flavored ice cream. I know that there used to be somebody that did that. I can't remember who it was. Can you tell me who makes the best licorice flavored ice cream in Denver? They'll write a paragraph like that. That's their search term. And the reality is that if you're the one selling that licorice flavored ice cream, you want to come up in the AI search results. You want to be recommended. So one of the things that I like to tell people, and I'm just going to stop sharing so I can just talk to people. One of the things that you want to do with your business is not be afraid of the AI tools going out there and stealing your information. I see so many people still talking about this of, well, it's using my information without my consent. And the idea is that, guess what? You want it to do that. You want to be found on the AI chatbots just like you were found on Google. So if you sit here and get on this bandwagon of saying, hey, you know, don't use my stuff, it's proprietary information or whatever, I didn't give you permission, it's short-sighted to do that. You want to have your information be out there and being utilized by AI because it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, it's learning from us. And I think I've had my paid version of ChatGPT for a little over a year. So as I'm developing projects, it remembers past projects and things that we've implemented. And you can tell that it is intelligent regarding you know, what is relevant to, you know, what we're trying to build. So that's pretty fascinating in that it does remember, it does learn.
Yeah, and the more information you feed it, the better it gets. You know, like I was talking about being able to write a book in an hour versus a day or whatever, utilizing AI. At this point, I've got 23 books and 20 years worth of blog posts that AI knows about. It's all in there. So when I say, write something up about this, it just goes out there and does it. It's got stuff in there that it remembered from me 6 months ago. And it's like, do you want to incorporate this? And I was like, wow, I didn't even say anything about that. And it still remembered it.
Mm-hmm. So I did see in your tool chest there that you had social media as a tool, and you probably have variations of it. Where do you see that kind of going as far as helping with social media posts, art, content, tags, emojis even? That's kind of fun when you ask it to include emojis.
Yeah.
Like how I mean, that's a huge time saver right there. Like, are they going to start posting? Like, what are some of the capabilities that you've seen with social media and AI?
Yeah. So is it going to start posting? Maybe if we tell it to. Uh, One of the things that I really think is happening this year is what are called AI agents. And what that means is that the AI is not just capable of giving you answers, it's capable of actually going out and doing things for you. The example that people always use when they try to explain an AI agent is instead of just looking up what the cheapest airfare tickets are for me from here to London, is it'll not just look up to see what the airfare is, but if it has your credit card on file, it'll go ahead and buy the ticket for you. Now, I saw a demo once of this AI agent that was creating a Delaware corporation on behalf of a client. You basically just said, hey, I want to create a Delaware corporation. And so it went out and it didn't just tell you how to do it, it filed all the paperwork for you. And so within a matter of about 2 minutes, you had a Delaware corporation. The reality with AI agents as it stands today is going to be totally different than where we are 6 months from now, because a lot of those things, including that demo, they aren't really doing things for you, doing things on your behalf. So with social media or email marketing, neither one, if we have an agent today and we say, I want to create a post that is going to go out to Instagram, it'll create the post for you. And it'll even tell you that it posted on Instagram. Or if you said, hey, I want to create this email and send it out to my email list, the AI agent software that's out there, it'll tell you that, yeah, I just sent out your email. The reality is it didn't do that because those linkages are not built into it yet. You still have to use a third-party app like Zapier to do it. So it's entirely possible to do it right now, but it's not all under one application. It takes several different tools to accomplish that. So you need to integrate your AI agent with Zapier and then with your email service provider or with your social media account in order to really make it do all that. 6 months from now, are we going to be able to just say, hey, create this Facebook post for me and post it? Absolutely.
Yeah, and as you're going through that, I do recall, and I'll focus on my industry, which is crypto. The agents are very extensive now, and there's a lot of coins, a lot of crap out there too. And so the main one is called virtuals, and there was actually a couple of coins that were created by AI agents, and I think the ticker is GOAT. And one of the use cases with the agents was they had access to a cryptocurrency wallet, so they were able to do the liquidity and also promote it. So I think it's kind of interesting to see some of the projects that have already come out that are full on projects. And of course, anything that's new and exciting takes off pretty well. I don't know where it's at today, but I imagine it's settled down quite a bit. But there are cryptos created by AI agents, and I remember a year ago saying that it is a lot easier using crypto for AI agents to conduct commerce. So I think that is going to be pretty fascinating and another solution for crypto.
Yeah, I think that AI agents are going to be a really big thing this year, whether you're investing in crypto, whether you are trying to post things to social media or do email marketing, or whether you're trying to buy stuff online, just saying, hey, I'm looking for whatever, go out, tell me where it can be. And it's probably going to be an interactive process a little bit, just like the chatbot is now. You don't necessarily, let's say that you are shopping for a snow shovel, and you don't necessarily want the AI agent to go out there and just buy the snow shovel for you. You want it to show you, hey, here are 4 different sites that each have this particular snow shovel that you're looking at. And here, this one has it for this price, but charges this for shipping. This one has it for this price, but has free shipping, whatever. Pick the one you
This
want.
one's ergonomically designed or something, or
yeah, whatever the parameters are, you pick the one you
right.
want, and then the agent picks up again and goes through the process of ordering it for you. So that kind of interaction, I think, is going to be important when these AI agents are getting created. But that's clearly one of the next waves of AI, is for us to be able to have that type of capability. That it's just started this last year, and it looks like it's taken off for 2025.
So let's back up a couple steps, and address the AI replacing jobs. And you emphasize that more jobs will be created than lost. You mentioned prompt engineering. What are some other jobs or type of jobs that you foresee emerging, and how can us professionals prepare for them, or other like names of jobs you think might be a position for hiring managers?
And that's a fun question, only from the standpoint that the technology is obviously still emerging. So we don't know what those jobs are going to be yet. We don't even know if prompt engineer is really going to be a job that lasts more than a year or so. We simply don't know at this point. I think that one of the things that is a big concern for a lot of companies is the ethics involved around using AI. So having some type of an AI ethics officer is probably going to be really important for people, especially as it relates to doing things in terms of the hiring process and your employees and so forth. But also just in the use of AI in general, is it ethical to do some of the things that people are even doing right now, in terms of, I talked a little bit about saying, hey, we don't want the AIs to be utilizing our stuff without our permission. Well, the reality is that the whole reason why AI took off a couple of years ago is because OpenAI and these other AI companies, they essentially downloaded the entire internet. They didn't ask anybody's permission to do it. They just did it. And having that kind of information at your fingertips is incredibly powerful for people like you and me. But there are people out there that are like, hey, I put these images up there. They've got a copyright mark on them. I did not intend for that to get utilized for training purposes or whatever. I still consider that to be proprietary intellectual property. So as we're using AI today, is it ethical for us to be utilizing that information that those people didn't want to get utilized in that capacity? And I've always said, ever since the generative AI tools took off a couple of years ago, that the winners in this thing are not going to be the AI companies. It's not going to be people like you and me. It's going to be the lawyers. And I really think that's true.
Right. And, it brings up, I guess, as far as ethics and morals, truthfulness, how do we know it's true? And I envision a day where it will probably require disclosure. Hey, this information was developed or generated via AI. like, do you think that's going to be a thing where, instead of like a copyright or a trademark, it'll say
A
AI
disclaimer.
generated? Mhm.
Yeah, quite honestly, I think it's probably not a bad idea to do that now. Uh, there's some things like I was showing you with the AI generated copy where it's kind of easy to spot, but there are other things where it's not necessarily easy to spot. I know that when you put a book up on Amazon now, that they ask you 3 or 4 questions about, was this generated by AI? Did you use it a lot or a little bit? Did you use it just for the text? Did you use it for the cover graphics, whatever? And so they're collecting that information. They're not showing it to anybody, almost as if they don't really care. But
Yeah.
if people know that yet, but at some point, are they going to start displaying that on their website that this content was generated by AI? Well, they might.
Hmm. So let's dig into a little bit about, since most small businesses have websites. You're talking about positioning yourself and even best practices as AI driven first websites. Talk about that vision of maybe how you're building, how other people may want to revamp their website with AI driven technologies or tools first.
Yeah, and that again is something that is obviously fairly new and continuing to evolve. But one of the things that we have seen over the past few years is that Google has changed their algorithm a number of different times, where they started out having things in there that they were looking at like a meta description for your website. They ignore it now. The whole idea of keyword stuffing that we saw 10 years ago has obviously disappeared, because Google now takes a look at things and looks at a number of other factors as it relates to, hey, this is the page that I want to show on the first page of the search results. Websites today that talk to human beings rather than talking to search engines are definitely something that is making your website be AI first friendly. It ties in a lot with the AI search optimization that we were talking about, because I really think that Google as we know it today, it's not going to go away quickly. It may not even go away ever in our lifetime, but it is certainly going to change, because people, they no longer need to worry about the technical aspects of things like keywords. The language models that are out there, they prefer human input as opposed to programming input. And that's something that a lot of web designers, quite honestly, a business owner probably has a better feel for that than a web designer does, just because they don't have those biases built in about, hey, I need to, have a certain keyword density on this page, and I need to make sure that my H1 and H2 tags are in the right place, and that I have an alt tag on all these things. A business owner doesn't necessarily know about that stuff nor care about it. And quite honestly, an AI engine is going to be more concerned with the content than about those technical aspects as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because I was also thinking, as we're kind of going away from the typical SEO, maybe they'll weigh things better for possible engagement, like how you word things, or want a response, or want it to be shared. I can see that kind of evolving with AI-driven websites, where it's up there to drive engagement or that stickiness factor.
Yeah, and I think that if you actually have some AI tools on your website, like perhaps a content-aware AI chatbot, or maybe you've got, and I'm
Free
not even thinking
tool.
of enough, but you've got these tools on your website that are AI tools. The AI engines may look at that saying, hey, this is something that I can grab the information from easier. So I want that on there.
Hey, one of my AI buddies on another website's got this tool available.
yeah, it's and obviously, some of the things that we've grown accustomed to doing over the years, like the number of backlinks to our website, I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon, because that obviously is a popularity contest, and
Relevance contest. Yeah.
yeah, so not everything's going to go away, but what, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but what might be interesting is if because of the chatbot idea, with needing content in there, if we're going to be uploading a whole bunch of content into our websites that are not necessarily publicly displayed, but we are putting that content out there because we want the AI tools to be picking up on that.
Mm-hmm. So, so we have a lot of small business owners, maybe some risk adverse businesses in general. What are some maybe like low risk, high reward type of tools or starting points that we can implement, put on our website or use in our business in general?
Some of the ones that we have talked about here, things like using AI for content, whether that be product descriptions or blog posts or whatever. It's actually a really good productivity tool for that. So even though I was talking about, hey, you don't want your content to appear like it was written by a robot, by the time you go through a couple of iterations of it and you edit it yourself, it's still going to save you time over just having done it manually to start with. Tools like the content-aware chatbots, I really think that most websites can benefit from that, and that's not a really expensive thing to put on there.
Mm-hmm. So what industries do you think maybe most disrupted by AI, or even roles or positions? Like when I started seeing some of these solutions, I thought legal or lawyers were going to be very disrupted. But you mentioned that you think lawyers that are focused, yeah, I mean, they typically do, but for the reason of compliance, morals, ethics. So I think there's going to be a shift there. Maybe what are some other positions that will most likely see disruption?
I think one of the things that I have seen myself right now that is one that's really getting disrupted a lot is programmers, technical programmers, computer programmers. I have, I used to, back in the dark ages, I used to hire programmers to come into my office and be employees. As times changed, I started utilizing offshore programmers, not only because it was more cost effective to do that, but because of timing, it worked out great. It would be like I would write a little bit of code. I would send it to my counterparts in India. They would work on it, write some new code, send it back to me. Since we were 12 hours different, now I would come in the morning, I would get what they had been working on. I'd work on it during the day, send it back to them, and we were saving a whole bunch of time. We were able to produce certain software tools in, a half the time or better than what we could do before. Well, with AI now, it's the exact same thing, except I don't have to wait till the end of the day and email it off to somebody in India and then wait till the next morning to get it back. I just give it to the AI tool and say, hey, I need it to do this. It responds back immediately, and I make some tweaks. I re-upload it back to there, and within a matter of minutes, I'm able to create things that, quite honestly, I'm not a good enough programmer to have created on my own. And so some of the tools that I've created for some of my e-commerce clients where they have specific needs for their website, whatever those needs might be. Hey, I need it to sort the orders as they come in a certain order so that it's easier for the people in our warehouse to just go down and pick things out based upon part numbers. That's one of the things that I did for somebody recently. Like I said, I was able to do that in about half an hour instead of what would have probably taken a couple of weeks of going back and forth with somebody in India to get the results that I needed. And, it saved me time and money. It saved my client time and money. We got results that are probably better than what we would have gotten before. So a programmer's job is definitely being disrupted. Does that mean programmers are going away? Obviously not. I have to have this interaction with the thing. People that are writing blog posts, are they in jeopardy? No, they've got to go back and forth with this iterations with the AI tools, edit the thing. But is it being disrupted? Is the job changing? Absolutely. Graphic artists, same way. The tools are decent that are coming out now. Video editing tools, those are getting better by the day. Does that mean that those jobs are going away? No, but it definitely does mean they're being disrupted, and you've got some new things that you've got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Probably true for lawyers too.
Yeah, that'll evolve. And that's my perspective, is this is all going to evolve. The premise of our show is preparing for the digital economy. So, I feel like I'm a futurist. That's why I'm in crypto. That's why I love having guests like you. And so if you put on your visionary goggles, where do you see us 5-10 years down the road? And one of the things I want to bring up is my perspective first is I see AI companions being a big part. And if there's a gamification in there, if you think of it as a game and we're creating our companion avatar, and then we're adding a skin or a power pack, so to speak, with other little widgets that we want to add to our companion. That's kind of one of my ideas. What's kind of your take on where you see this going?
You saying that HeyGen has an app out there that it's really kind of in early stages, but the idea is that it creates an avatar view. So you upload a photograph or 30 seconds of video of you upload your voice, and then you also upload a whole bunch of documentation about the project that you happen to be working on and where you stand on it. So this avatar is now able to replicate you, and you can have it go into a Zoom meeting and take your place. So now, and you can't do this yet, but you ask where it's going. The idea is okay, what if I have 20 avatars and I'm working on 20 projects, and therefore there's 20 of me in 20 different Zoom calls all at the same time, knowing the information that I know and interacting as me. What's even more interesting is, what if I could create a mastermind where I create an avatar of Albert Einstein and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and whoever these visionaries are that I want in my mastermind, and I'm able to log onto a Zoom call and start asking Al Einstein what he thinks about this particular situation. That'd be really cool.
It would actually. Yeah, man. All right. So part of the 10-year down the road vision, let's talk specifically e-commerce, business automation, and even customer service. Where do you kind of see AI fitting into those sectors?
What I truly hope happens is that with all of these technologies that we have that can replace us to do certain tasks, like we were talking about with the agents being in a meeting, with people being able to have their AI agents go out there and buy the new snow shovel for them or whatever. We've automated all this stuff, which frees us up as human beings to be human beings rather than human doings. We now have the free time to do the things that are important. The human interaction that you were talking about. You and I can go out and get together for a beer once a week, which we don't have time to do right now. And I really hope that that's the direction that we go with this, is that the tools free us up to be more of who we are, rather than just taking away jobs and making us all miserable.
I love that. That's great. That's like a more comforting perspective than I think a lot of people are, already judging AI as. So cool. Thank you for that. So, we've seen some different tech revolutions, evolutions. I guess piggybacking on what you were going with, like, what's the mindset that us as users, as business owners, need to have to kind of stay ahead in this AI era, this digital economy era?
I think that, one of the things that I tell people frequently is that if we view AI as something that is to be feared, then we're going to be fearful of it. If we view it as something that is a tool that can kind of escalate us to the next level, we're going to be inspired by it. And I really think that as business owners, that's the attitude that we need to take, is how can I be inspired by all of this new technology that's being made available to us? Because the reality is that we have the possibility today to do things that were not even imaginable just 5 years ago. And it's going to be that way even more. There are certain things, like the medical profession is one that's really has embraced AI quite a bit. Is that going to do things like start curing cancer, curing diabetes or whatever? Is it going to do things like find a solution to climate change? I think that those are real possibilities. And as business owners, we really need to embrace that abundance mindset rather than having a bunch of limiting beliefs.
Do you have some things that are free on your website? You obviously you can make an offer to. We have gregsfreegift.com. You want me to put that up, or how do you want to close it up today?
Put that up. I would say there's two things, maybe three things that people can do that are no cost to them. gregsfreegift.com is going to give you a free month into a mastermind that I run about AI and e-commerce. So feel free to go there. On the gregjameson.com website, there is a offer for a free book on the ethical use of AI. Right there on the home page, you can also take an assessment to kind of see where your company is right now in terms of being able to implement AI. And then you mentioned the free AI Genius earlier as well. So all of those are free options. One thing about it, I'm pretty easy to find on the internet. As somebody that's been out there this long, the internet's able to find me. Even ChatGPT is able to find me. The only thing
What's
is,
the name of your book that you just released?
the newest one is Ethical AI. The one right before that is called AI Advantage. 7 Simple Hacks to Stay Ahead in the Digital Age. So those are the two latest ones. So like I said, I'm pretty easy to find. There actually is a guy over in England with my name. That's not me. But like I said,
You're in Colorado.
I am in Colorado. I am your neighbor.
Well, yes. Well, excellent, Greg. Got a lot of value out of this today. I hope our audience did as well. And thank you. It's definitely going to be one of those things. We'll probably follow up with you and have you on again.
Sounds great. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Greg.